Good evening. My name is Esther Schwartz, and I've been asked to MC the Shloshim Memorial for Rabbi Shlomo Schwartz, Shlomo Yitzchak ben Moshe of blessed memory. As the wife of Rabbi Mendel and the daughter-in-law of Schwartzie and Olivia, I had the great pleasure and fortune of knowing this family for over 20 years. I am humbled to be standing here this evening to pay tribute to someone who has not only been the patriarch of our family, but a leader and role model touching the lives of thousands of people, as is evidenced by the number of people here tonight. Our first speaker of the night has been a friend of the family for many years. Dr. David Katzin, affectionately known as Doc, started his relationship with the Schwartz family just as that, a friend. He later graduated to be Schwartzie's Cohen, Schwartzie's personal caretaker, then his medical advisor, and later, David has become the Schwartz family therapist. Please welcome Dr. David Katzin.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be here. As other speakers will say, Schwartzie is an amazing person. They say that the nearer you get to a great person, the greater he becomes. And that's almost a test of their greatness. Sometimes they appear great in the newspapers, but as you get closer, you realize that they have feet of clay. And Schwartzie was somebody that I got to know over a period of 20 years. That's, I see, kind of an intermediate length of time for some of the people here. When I got to know him, it was probably almost 20 years ago today. And the older part of the family had pretty much grown up, but the redheads in the family were still there. Some of them a little more there than others, and some of them a little more difficult than others. And I've had a chance to watch some of them grow up, some of them grow only, and some of them will grow a little older and hopefully wiser. And another measure to me of greatness is it's easy to be great. Well, if you're going to be great, if you have something to really contribute to the world, it's easy to be great if you're just by yourself and you don't have any other obligations except your greatness. Then it's easy to be great, and or easier. But somebody who has a family, who has all those challenges, if he's great, then you know he's really great, because he lived a life of, well, like a real human being, a mensch, and he had a family, and that takes time and energy away from the greatness. But a real measure of greatness, the measure of measures, is if you have a family who is great in their own right. And I got a chance to really know this family just in the past few months. I knew some of them, but all of them came to be by Schwartzie's bedside at the end of his life. And I got a chance to see them in their natural state. Not as they are in their profession, not as they are davening at children, just as they are when they're vulnerable and hurting. And this is an amazing family. It's an honor to be associated with it in any way. My story about Schwartzie is not really a story. I mean, I was not one of the people who was touched and it had changed my life, and I met him on a bridge somewhere or crossing something, and he said 5 words, and that was it. Now I have 50 grandchildren. It wasn't like that. I mean, as you can see, I mean, I'm not wearing a yarmulke, really. This is my head covering, I call it, in case anybody asks. I call myself Flexidox. The first meeting I had with Schwartzie, I had already found Hasidus at that point. I'd already come back to Judaism. I knew I was going to come back to Judaism as a youth, and I said, I'll put it on hold until I'm older. And then the bell rang, and I was called, and it struck me, so to speak. My story was just like I got struck by lightning. Anybody remember the movie Oh God with John Denver in it, where he says he's talking to God, who's played by George Burns, and he says, "If you're God, make it rain." And all of a sudden it's raining, but it's only raining inside the car. And John says, "Well, what's going on?" He says, "Why do I have to ruin everybody's day?" So I needed to get struck by lightning. Didn't have to ruin everybody's day, so it came in the form of a seizure. And in the midst of that seizure, waking up from that seizure, I knew things were going to change, and that something was going to happen. And I went looking for my Jewish roots. and found them on television, of all places, in a telethon, and got involved there. And I had friends who knew Schwartzie, and they said, go to the other side of town. You should see how the other half lives. Chabad is not a uniform thing. It's not all cut and dry. There's classic Chabad, and then there's other Chabad. There's alternative Chabad. And check it out, see how you like it. So I'm checking it out. And I go for Shabbos dinner, and I'm kind of looking around, and it's certainly less formal than what I had seen. I mean, this was dinner for 60 strangers, and some of them were really strange, to tell you the truth. It wasn't a steady old buddy, but they took anybody in who was interested in coming and hearing a little bit of some Hasidic tales that Livia would tell. And Schwartzie was there. He was quite an imposing figure in his own way back then. I mean, he was already Schwartzie at that point. I mean, I don't know when he became Schwartzie. Seems to me he was born Schwartzie. I mean, they're like Moses was born Moses. They didn't have two names, and they had to shorten it. But Schwartzie was Schwartzie. And he was already Schwartzie. He looked very distinguished. His beard was becoming gray at that point. He was about 50-ish. And, but it was clear that he loved certain parts of the material world that we lived in, particularly eating. And a little bit overweight, but it only made him look a little more present. You don't want a skinny rabbi. What kind of substance is there? You want him looking, like a rabbi with a beard, and he looks at you with his eyes, although his eyes were very interesting. He had fire in his eyes, but he had glasses, and there was a vulnerability in his eyes. And he did the Kiddush in a beautiful voice that, for me, was what I thought of when I thought of Jewish prayer. That was the voice. And that moved me. But sitting together, we were talking, and I sort of asked him, well, how kosher is this operation? He looks at me, he says, we tear toilet paper. And I looked back at him, thinking, doesn't everybody? How do you get it off the roll, And he said that, it's a level. He said, it's a level. And I didn't realize later what he was telling me and who he was speaking to. He wasn't talking to me at that point, and that's one of the things that I have come to really love about Schwartzie, that he had a way of there were circles within circles. His mind worked within itself, and there were several layers going on at once, always. And he wasn't just talking to me, he was talking to the people that I was going to tell. When they asked me, how was it at Schwartzie's? I would say, they tear toilet paper. And they would go, And that I didn't realize till many, many, many years later, and I'll tell you the circumstances, because he had one of those minds that he remembers everything, and he met thousands of people. Those who want stories of inspiration, you can find them almost anywhere. I'm sure people in this room have it. I mean, Schwartzie said that his job basically, what does a rabbi do? We hatch him, match him, and dispatch him. That's so all those great, transition points in life, the rabbi's there, and that's what he did. He was certainly there for me. And we had an arrangement, and the arrangement was that I would give him my best, and he would give me his best. And when I needed him, he was there. He was there as a chavrusa. He had an amazing ability to learn and go deep into the mystical teachings of Judaism. He loved it. I mean, that was one of his great loves, and one of the things we were able to share often, but not often enough. And you come to realize it's not always going to be there when it's gone. It's one of those things that happens also with when you've been close to something great that's influential in your life, and you start to take it for granted. That's just the way life is. And you don't realize how incredibly effective or how important it was to you until, well, you don't realize what you've got till it's gone, I think the song goes. And those who felt perhaps unappreciative of the greatness of Schwartzie, often their children, because a saint still has to take out the garbage, nobody's a saint in their hometown. And you only realize later that, oh my God, look at the effect he's had on people, look at the influence. And then you start to realize, oh my, what did I miss and what have I lost? And I know because it happened to me, so it's not an uncommon thing. If anything that happens to you is not an uncommon thing, I don't know if you are aware of that. There used to be a question when they would talk about how much does a patient smoke or how much does a patient drink. They would say light, medium, or heavy. And they did a study, and if the patient drank as much as the doctor, that was medium. It didn't matter what the doctor drank, that was medium. So it's normal to have these feelings, and being younger or older, it's still hard to lose a parent, and it's always hard. And that big chunk of something that we mourn for is inside of us, and it gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. And we have to replace it with something. And there's an amazing healing process that goes on if you allow yourself to mourn. And there's something beautiful about mourning, I have found. It's holy. You don't really care about anything else. All the narishkeit, all the nothingness that goes on in the world all the time that we pay attention to, we're forced to pay attention to, like what's on TV, or who's the star, or all the stuff, or all the little things, suddenly they're not important. I mean, this pain is so great, this hole is so great inside of you, that it consumes all of that, and you just focus on the depth of feeling and the depth of your relationship, either with your beloved who's lost, or God, if it brings you to that. And one of the things that Schwartzie did for people, I believe, was connect them to a higher level of consciousness. He loved people, he loved Yiddishkeit, he loved the Rebbe, he loved Torah, and he lived there. And he really lived there. I mean, many of us visit once in a while, often on Shabbos, but we don't live there. He was there all the time. And it got to the point where he just didn't even have a connection to the physical world anymore. When he was unable to drive, he gave up his driver's license, basically, and his wallet, and his money, and his ID. And he walked around town. Wherever he went, they knew who he was, and they knew who to call. I mean, the only other people I've heard who did that were the Kennedys. They were able to walk around. Wherever they went, they knew somebody was going to pay. They knew who they were, no worries. You know? And that's what Schwartzie. He lived on a cloud, in the cloud. Long before there was a cloud up there. And what he did, I think that was amazing, was he made us better people. When you were with him, you felt like you were with somebody important. When you were doing something for him, you were doing something significant. And even if it was just cooking macaroni and cheese, I mean, I was able to be with him. I think that one of the happiest moments, if you take them moment by moment in his life, came. Schwartzie, as many of you know, may have had some issues about the kind of food he ate and how much he ate. I mean, he once told me, David, I don't know what full is. I've never been full. I could always eat another meal. It's just the way it was. Shortly after I got involved with the family, they found out, oh, geez, a nutrition-oriented doctor. Olivia wanted me to talk to Shlomo about his nutrition. I realized that was going nowhere very quickly. I mean, he said to me right away, he said, you know, she wants me to change. And that's why you came, right? I said, yeah, that's why I came. I said, but it's always been that way. There's a joke about it. He said, you know, that men marry women hoping they'll never change, women marry men hoping they will change, and they don't change. He said, you unmarried people out there, just be aware of that. And he said, I'm not going to change, but go ahead. And I ran it down for him, all the things it should be doing, and all the things, and this and that. He looked at me and he said, Dr. Katzin, you mean Torah's not enough? Now, what do you say to somebody like that? But at that point, there's nothing more to say. I said, listen, I'm there if you need me, you know? And the happiest moment of his life, I believe, for that one moment, came in the middle of this terrible illness, when he had to gain weight. He had become so sick that he could eat anything he wanted. We made him the fattiest, the most rich stew we could make, and he loved it, and he was happy for those moments. And there was something there, I mean, that connected him. And he was like that. I mean, I've never been full was for everything. It was for learning, it was for Yiddishkeit, it was for love, it was for life, it was for joy. And he really inspired us with life and made us better because of it. And they say, you know, he's gone to his world now, his olamo. And we say Gan Eden. No, he'll be in Gan Eden. He's not there now. He'll be there soon. I don't know about that. I just know one thing. Schwartzie carried a piece of Gan Eden with him. And wherever he was, there was Eden. And we were better because of it. And it's sad that it's gone now. So, on that, let me just say, it's been good to be here, to say a few words. I want to leave you with something that I'm sure Schwartzie would like. And that is, be sure to celebrate the good times with people you love. Otherwise, the only times you get together are these times. So be well, be great, and may the Schwartz be with you.